Good morning. Today we are going to see about RDBMS, that is Relational Database Management System, and Oracle. The first unit is the introduction to databases and the relational data model. This is what you're going to see today. Database concepts. The first one is a database. A database is an electronic repository of data. It is going to store different things which are related, that is real world entities which are related to the database, and you're going to study about the relationship between each of them. What you're going to understand is a database is actually it is a repository of data, um, and that's what is the base here in this RDBMS. Okay, database. Database, one more definition is there. That is, it is an integrated collection of shared data designed to meet the varied information needed by an organization. Okay, and then the structure of the database, you'll be having different structures, objects are there. First one is an entity. An entity, it may be a person, it may be a place, it may be an event or an item, that you're going to call it as an entity. A place, a person, that we come across a database, you'll be having real world things will be there. Those are called as entities. Facts, that is attributes are known as data here. And then there is the facts describing entity called as data, and then you'll be having attributes. Each entity can be described by its characteristics called as attributes. For example, a college student will be having his or her own call, that is student ID, name, contact number. All these things are attributes. Okay, and then an entity set, what are all related to that particular entity, everything will be called as an entity set. A database is a collection of different entity sets. Okay, database concept. So this is, you're going on with that. Okay. Okay, database consists of a collection of software program that receives and satisfies all the requests that is coming from the data. Okay, there is a difference between what is called as RDBMS and DBMS. RDBMS applications store data in tabular form, whereas your DBMS store data in a file. Every value stored in a relational database is, you can access it. You're going to go for relationships. There are different types of relationships are there. Database design requires, you're going to design a database, means you have to find out its relationships. The design also establishes all the relationship between the entity set within the database. There are different types of relationships. They are classified into three categories. One is one-to-one relationship. One-to-one relationship is actually one entity will be related, well, there will be only one entity. For example, the Prime Minister of India and the Prime Minister of UK. There is a one-to-one entity. If the relationship between these two are one-to-one, then you're going to call it as one-to-one relationship. Second one is one-to-many relationship. One particular person will be for example, teacher-student relationship is be called as one-to-many relationship. And then many-to-many relationship is actually a group of individuals will be looking after uh, another group of individuals. That is called as many-to-many relationship. An organization will be, for example, an organization will be controlling another organization, for example. Okay, history of RDBMS. History of RDBMS dates back to 1970. It was originally developed by E.F. Cord, and it is a relational database model. Okay, then and SQL. SQL is a language. It was developed by IBM as a prototype in the mid 1970s. Okay, it is also called as SQL. And in 1979, Oracle Corporation introduced the first commercially available implementation of SQL. That is, today's SQL is widely implemented and it has been successfully used in number of companies. relational database introduction. It is actually, as I did, the advantages are simplicity, value based, and the SQL is a major advantage, major language. It has its own advantage. Okay, an example here, I'm taking a table. You're having a product number. Product number is one column, one attribute. The name is another attribute, and quantity and price. You're taking an example here. An example is a product table. You'll be having a product number, name, quantity, and price. Suppose if you take one product, you'll be having a product number will be there. For example, the product will be at a color television, and you're going to what is the quantity you're going to buy? That is 24. That is given here, and the price of it. All these things there's a small table which has been given here, and I've listed out different terminologies here. One is relational DB file, and what is there in the example in RDBMS, that is relational database. You're going to call this a table. Each data item you're going to call it as a column, and each record you're going to call here as a row, and data type in a file will be called here as a domain here. Here primary number, that is a product number. The product number is actually the primary key, because it is there's no duplicate. There is no, if there is any duplicate, you cannot give it as a, because through that particular product number only you're going to identify that particular record. So this product number will become the primary key, so that you can identify each record using that particular product number. Relational model is actually the result of SQL query. Is always, it is actually table based. And it is a dynamic table. Okay, you'll be having something called as rows and columns. Normally rows are unordered, and column is a sequence of table and is irrelevant in your database queries. Actually, you'll be having rows, and you'll be having columns, and you'll be having a view is actually a logical representation which is not actually present. It will combine two different tables, and it will derive what you want to see. It will take two different attributes from two different table, and it will collaborate, and it will retrieve, and it will show to you, but it will not be actually present. This is actually a view. Okay, and then primary key is actually what we have learned in the table. The primary key is actually, it is each and every values in that example was unique. A primary key is actually, it is unique. Each and every value should be unique, and by using the primary key you can identify that particular uh, record. Okay, the table has will be referring only to that primary key, which is actually the most important thing in the table. The fields in the primary key must be defined as not null. Suppose if you cannot skip the primary key, and each and every value that you are given, that you have to give in the primary key, should be unique, should not have any duplicate values. So you should give as not null, and it should not have any duplicate values, that is unique. Foreign key is actually, it is used for referential integrity, to refer one table with that of the another table. Okay, the relationship between this is actually, the table which is referencing is called as a child table, and the table which is referenced is called as a parent table. Referential integrity, it actually requires referencing columns. For example, if you are going to refer one table, okay, it should be available in the parent table, then only it will be available in the child table. If it is not available in the parent table, then you cannot call it as a referential integrity. It should be referenced. Suppose you want that column should be there. That column should be there in the main table, so that you can access in the child table. Okay, then database server in, what is it is actually a client server architecture here. What is happening in your SQL? So you'll be having the client machine, that is your machine, and the server machine, which is a database server, where you'll be having all files. Okay, here first what happens means, the user will be entering the query through the client application user interface. That is what happens in the lab. You'll be entering through the client application user interface. Okay, and then what happens means the client application sends the formulated query to the database through the server, database server. You'll be sending the query to the database server, and the file server will be responding to it. Okay, third, what happens means that is database server processes the request, whatever query you are sending, it will search all the records and it will respond. The fourth one is database server returns only the results from the query. Whatever query you have asked for, based on that, it will give the response. The response comes back from the file server. The fifth one is the client application user interface displays the display screen. Whatever is being retrieved will be displaying on the client application, that is the screen. Okay, benefits of RDBMS, that is integration of data. Data will be integrated, it is highly organized, it is single logical. Okay, and the redundancy and inconsistency of data can be easily eliminated. And the next one is sharing of data, that is users in the organization, those who are using the same data can have it separately, no need to get confused. Then sharing of data will happen very easily. Then enforcement of standards, this centralized data administration is possible, and you can enforce all the data standards, and it is all the standards have to be approved by the database administrator. That is ease of application development. Ease of application development, the end user, there is no burdensome job. It is actually designing, building, all these things will become very simplified. It is not burdensome. Relational model. Okay, model represents both entities and relationships, and this is actually a structure which is called as a flat file structure. Okay, and the relation is actually a mathematical concept that is about the entity or relationship. Properties of a relation. No rows in a table in an is no duplicate rows in a relation. These are all the properties. The order of rows in a relation is insignificant. The order of columns is a relation is insignificant. All rows must be atomic. It should have only a single value, only single value attributes. Each row must be uniquely identified by the primary key. In a relational database model, it is logically presented in two-dimensional table that is made up of rows, tuples, records, and columns are made up of attributes, fields, and data item. A table is the most important here. A table is a group of homogeneously defined records, all with identical fields and types. Within a database, each table has a unique name. A table is what is very important here. The next one is a row. A row of a table are known as records. They are made up of collection of values, and those are required to describe an entity. A field is actually an intersection of rows and columns. It is used to get the qualified result. A key is actually a set of attributes which can uniquely identify a row in a table. This is a relationship, how it has been, relationship model has been depicted here. I'm using primary key and foreign key, which you have already seen here. A primary key, you're going to identify the primary key of a given table, and then only one column is there, means it is called as a simple key. Composite key is actually one primary key is not possible, means you will be combining more than one column so that it becomes a compound or composite key. Alternative key means if a primary key is not present, then you're going for an alternative key which is in a relation. Foreign key is actually, it appears in a table which also plays the role of a primary key in other tables. An index is the data structure used to speed up data retrieval or enforce certain constraints on on the records in a table. Okay, and it is an automatic optimization algorithms are used, and the process is actually simplified. Null value is used to indicate the present data is not available. You will be giving a null value. Suppose if it is not available. Okay, this is actually the overview of RDBMS. Thanks for watching.